Christine, traffic lights, and White Island are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is December 9th, 2021. It is the 343rd day of the year. We got 22 days left in 2021. It is the 49th Thursday in the 50th week, and the 79th day of fall. Finally, we're getting closer to winter. We got 12 days. You also got 16 days until Christmas. Today is Genocide Prevention Day. I think this should be every day, but they gave it its own day. International Day of Commemoration and Dignity of Victims of the Crime of Genocide and of the Prevention of Crimes. Seek to raise awareness. That's the whole thing. I'll read that to you again. International Day of Commemoration and Dignity of the Victims of the Crime of Genocide and the Prevention of this crime. That's what this day is technically called. Anyway, it seeks to raise awareness about the Genocide Convention. The Genocide Convention is a list of articles that dictate the prevention methods and punishment that should be handed out for genocide and the perpetrators thereof. It was adopted by the UN in 1948. They need to really shorten that day. I'm sure at some point it started off as the International Prevention of Genocide Day, but everyone's got to throw their 2 cents in, and all of a sudden it becomes the commemoration and dignity of the victims of the crime of genocide. I'm not making light of genocide. It is a horrible, horrible thing, but come on. You need a little work on that. They need to work on their branding. Anyway, let's see what else December 9th has given us. 1868, the first traffic lights are installed outside the Palace of Westminster in London. Resembling railway signals, they use semaphore arms and are illuminated at night by red and green gas lamps. 1872, in Louisiana, PBS Pinchback becomes the first African-American governor of a U.S. state. I did not know it was that early. Pinchback was born a free man in Macon, Georgia, to Eliza Stewart, who was a slave at the time, and William Pinchback, who was a white plantation owner or whatever. His father raised him with his other siblings just like his own children. This is very rare back in the day. Now, I don't know the relationship, and I looked it up. I couldn't find between this white man and the slave Eliza Stewart, but he at least raised his son as he did his other children. When he died, the mother, Eliza Stewart, moved the kids, including PBS, whose real name is Pickaninny Benton Stewart. Anyway, she moved the kids to Ohio because it was a free state, and eventually, as he got older, he found his way down to Louisiana and joined the Union Army, becoming one of the few African Americans to be commissioned in the Union Army, as in a lieutenant or colonel, whatever. After the war, PBS stayed in Louisiana, New Orleans actually, and became very involved in Republican politics. He eventually won an election to the Louisiana State Senate. One thing led to another, and he became the acting lieutenant governor of Louisiana, following the death of Oscar Dunn in 1871. And he briefly served as acting governor of Louisiana after the governor was suspended because of, criminal activity and corruption, which is very common in Louisiana still to this day. In 1872, he was elected to the United States Senate, but there was a bunch of controversy and challenges from opposing parties, and he was never seated in Congress. He eventually decided to move to Washington, D.C. with his family, and as it was said, to escape increased racial oppression in Louisiana. He died in Washington, D.C. in 1921. 1941, World War II. China, Cuba, Guatemala, and the Philippines declare war on Germany and Japan. This is what goes on right after Pearl Harbor. All these countries, they decided that was a little too much, thus creating like a world war. I mean, there was already war going on, but the attack on Pearl Harbor was what kind of got the ball rolling for pretty much everyone to go against Japan and Germany. 1979, the eradication of the smallpox virus is certified, making smallpox the first of only 2 diseases to have been driven into extinction. There's one called Rhineprest that I guess affected giraffes, buffalo, antelope, deer, warthogs, wildebeest, things like that. That one came from drinking contaminated water and could also be transmitted by air. 1992, American troops land in Somalia for Operation Restore Hope. This one, I remember when this all went down. The Navy SEALs actually landed on the beach outside of Mogadishu. I believe it's Mogadishu. Anyway, so they land on the beach and they're coming in all quiet. Well, I guess someone had seen that they were coming and the press went down to the beach. There's all these cameramen as these Navy SEALs are coming out of the water onto the beach. They're getting their equipment together and they're trying to be all stealthful. And these idiots run up and they're like 2 feet away from them with lights and cameras. And they're filming these poor SEALs coming off the beach, trying to be somewhat stealthful. And these idiots are like right there. All they're concerned about is getting this shot and their camera and it kind of pissed me off. I mean, could you imagine doing that to like a police officer in the operation of his duties? He's trying to arrest someone and you're 1.5 inches away from his face holding a camera. You know, I mean, I know people do that with their cell phones now all the time, but they don't get as close as these guys. And especially when there's a gun pulled out. It was just weird. I'm getting irritated just thinking about it. 2019, a volcano on White Island in New Zealand kills 22 people after it erupts. This was kind of sad. One, I know about it because I was on a cruise ship that actually the people came from. The Ovation of the Seas by Royal Caribbean. It was down there 2 years before I was on it in 2019. And they were doing an excursion to go see the volcano. And so they had all these people from the cruise ship there on the island when it blows up. Luckily, my understanding is a lot of the people had come back. They'd already seen it. And there was only a few stragglers heading back when this blew up. It could have been a lot worse and at a much higher body count. Movies released on December 9th, 1983, Christine. This is the Stephen King movie about a possessed car. Basically, a nerdy outcast purchases a 1958 Plymouth, which he names Christine. He then develops an unhealthy obsession and a relationship with the car, which begins to worry his friends. All of a sudden, the vehicle gets vandalized, one thing leads to another, and this thing comes to life and starts killing people. Now, I didn't like the movie. I mean, I love the book. I read Christine, but this is why I hated the movie. The guy that played the lead, the obsessed kid with Christine, the owner of the car, his name's Keith Gordon. He's an actor who, I mean, he's been around Hollywood for years, and he normally plays like a sidekick or something like that, but this was his key role. Well, he has an annoying personality. And I think that was what they were going for with the character, but his personality just rubs me the wrong way. I mean, in all his movies, every time I see him, it's like, oh God, this dude. I don't think he's done anything in years, but back then. Yeah, so I got about halfway through the movie and tuned out. But a lot of people say it's great. The film was directed by John Carpenter, and the screenplay was done by Stephen King. Born on December 9th, 1930, Buck Henry, American actor, director, and screenwriter. This guy hosted Saturday Night Live like 10 times. I remember seeing him all over the place. He was actually a very accomplished screenwriter, but most people know him as the characters he played in all kinds of movies. But anyway, he wrote Barbra Streisand's, at least one of her first big movies, What's Up, Doc, which I saw when I was a kid, loved the movie. But he wrote To Die For in 1995, Protocol, which was a good movie. But where I really liked him was he played Liz Lemon or Tina Fey's dad on 30 Rock. A great character actor. So this was the day he was born. He died on January 8th, 2020 at the age of 89 in Los Angeles from a heart attack. Died on December 9th, 2003, we lost Paul Simon, not the one from Simon and Garfunkel. This was the politician Paul Simon. He was the 39th Lieutenant Governor of Illinois. He's an American soldier, journalist. He was a congressman and a senator at one point. He also ran for president. Now, what's funny about that is on Saturday Night Live one time, trying to boost his image for his presidential campaign, he appears on Saturday Night Live with musical guest Paul Simon from Simon and Garfunkel. And they had a bunch of different skits where people thought it was going to be Paul Simon, the musician, and this politician walks out. It was actually really funny. Anyway, Paul Simon died in Springfield, Illinois, following heart surgery at the age of 75 in 2003. The local news station reported his death as a massive gastric blowout. That's what they said on the news. How horrible is that? Massive gastric blowout. Scary. I don't want to die of a massive gastric blowout. All right, everyone, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, be productive, and be nice to each other.